Okay, time for a new video. Welcome back to my channel, or hello if you're new. This is yet another Eurovision related video here on my channel, and today I am continuing this little series of videos that I am filming on my channel over the summer months this year, where I focus on one country and one country only, and that nation's results at the Eurovision Song Contest over the past decade, 2015 to 2025. I've already spoken about Norway's entries and Denmark's entries over the past 10 years, and now I am turning my attention to Finland. As always, you are welcome to let me know your thoughts on anything I discuss in today's video by leaving a comment down below, and as always there are links in the description to my other social media pages. Check them out if you so wish. The reason I am talking about Finland's entries today is because that nation topped a poll that I put up just over a week ago on my YouTube community page, and not long after this video you're watching now goes live on YouTube, I will be posting another poll on my YouTube community page, 4 more different countries, and you can vote for whichever nation's entries you'd like me to talk about next time, and I will see the results in a few days' time and film that video as and when. However, this video is about Finland, a country that has, of course, won Eurovision, albeit once before, nearly 20 years ago, in Athens, Greece, when they were represented by the group Lordi and the song Hard Rock Hallelujah. I think most Eurovision fans, including myself, would say that UMK, Finland's national selection, is one of the best national finals, if not the best national final on the continent these days. It is definitely quality over quantity. We only have about 6 or 7 songs every year now. The songs are drip-fed to us, one per evening in the early spring. Definitely the quality has improved significantly over the past 5 years or so, and a lot of Eurovision fans really enjoy what they bring to the table. And that second victory might be coming sooner rather than later. I think this is a country/broadcaster that really wants that second Eurovision win sooner rather than later. So, with that being said, let's roll back the years now to when things maybe weren't quite so rosy for Finland at the Eurovision Song Contest. 2015, the Vienna competition, of course. We might be back in Vienna for the 70th anniversary next year. I should say, as I go along, I will be making a rough ranking in order of preference regarding Finland's entries over the past 10 years, and feel free to let me know your ranking of Finland's entries from 2015 to 2025 by leaving a comment in the comment section down below if you so wish. So, Finland, yes, 2015, they were represented by a group called Pertti Kurrikan Nimipäivät, who formed in 2009, I believe it was. Yes, in a charity workshop for adults with developmental disabilities. So in many ways, absolutely fantastic to see a group like this, A, on the UMK stage, and then on the Eurovision stage itself. It seems as though they disbanded in 2017. They did release one album. This is a punk rock group. I don't really mind that style of music, but this song really wasn't doing anything for me, and I think it's my least favourite overall. No, it isn't, because Poland's right there. It's one of my least favourite entries of the 2015 competition. I remember at the time there was some hype and some interest in this particular group and the song, because it was so unlike anything we had the previous year, and so unlike many songs that we get pretty much every year. So it was definitely going to stand out in the mix. However, from what I remember, around the time of the competition, this was not really getting any buzz whatsoever. I think a lot of people were very indifferent about this tune. It's the shortest Eurovision song we've ever had. It clocks in at about 1 minute and 27 seconds, I think, something like that. I can check. Aina mun pitää means I always have to. It's in the Finnish language. It is 1 minute and 27 seconds long. There really wasn't much to the staging. It's a sort of angsty punk rock type of tune, I guess. It says here, if I scroll down, the performance saw the group in punk outfits performing in a band setup. Yes, indeed. The stage lighting transitioned between white and golden yellow, and the LED screens displayed industrial brick walls. It was a very gritty-looking performance. Sound equipment was scattered around the stage, and the performance also featured smoke effects. This song finished last in the first semi-final, receiving 13 points, finishing 10th with the public, so had the voting back then been like how it is these days, Finland would have gone through instead of Hungary, I believe. And last in the jury vote. In the public vote, Finland got 51 points, and in the jury vote, 1 point. So there you go. It's worth saying, in the national final, only 10% of the votes were from various different juries. 90% of the outcome was decided by the public, so it was very lopsided, and you could say not very fair at all. The jury vote was won by a group known as Salin Circus with the song Crossroads, a pretty bog-standard pop song with a fairly repetitive chorus. The public vote was very much in favour of Pertti Kurrikan Nimipäivät. The groups of juries involved, we had children, Finnish Swedes, Eurovision fans and taxi drivers. Yes, they had a little bit of a say in who represented their country back in 2015. We had various heats, some very fine songs, but the one that came out on top, not really a surprise, but definitely not one of my favourites. It is my last place of the first semi-final in 2015. We move on to 2016, and I remember paying quite a bit of attention to UMK in that particular year. We had some very fine songs. Again, we had a jury vote and a public vote, which included votes from before the live final and during the live final. In third place was Mikael Saari, who I'm amazed never represented Finland, quite frankly. I'd love to see him try again for Finland within the next couple of years. The runner-up was Sara Aalto, more on her later, because she did end up going to Eurovision in Lisbon. But the winner was Sing It Away by Sandhya, whose full name is Sandhya Kuivalainen. Born in March 1991 in Helsinki, she's released 2 albums, albeit not for nearly 10 years. This song is a pop number with slight elements of disco, I would say. It feels quite throwback, if you ask me. Maybe that's not the right word, but I'm sure you can understand what I'm getting at. It opened the first semi-final in Stockholm. Again, we had some very interesting juries in UMK, including Parliament, YouTubers, bloggers and asphalt constructors. Yes. Who thought that was a good idea? I don't really know. It's very bizarre indeed. Now it says here, the performance at Eurovision of this number saw Sandhya performing in a blue jumpsuit joined by 5 backing vocalists dressed in black. She was wearing... No, she wasn't. She was wearing the blue jumpsuit. Sandhya and the backing vocalists performed a dance routine together that revolved around the microphone stands and made use of the catwalk and satellite stage. The LED screens displayed blue and purple designs with a liquid effect. Finland finished 15th in the first semi-final, receiving 51 points, 16 from the public and 35 from the juries. It was never really tipped to go through. I think the result was as expected, and maybe it wasn't the best choice for Finland that year, in all honesty. I now need to make a note of this. There we go. Let me know your thoughts on these entries as I go along, of course. So Finland, that was the second year in a row that they failed to make the final, and it wouldn't get any better in 2017 with another very different sounding song. We had Blackbird by Norma John, which is a duo made up of Lasse Pirainen and Leena Tironen. Apparently they're still making music, although not for a number of years looking at this. They are from a place called Kouvola. So there we go. And she finished third on the first series of Finland's version of the X Factor, apparently. So there you go. This song, Blackbird, is so haunting. I've described this song and many other songs, of course, on my channel numerous times in the same way. But it is a very haunting, maudlin, very pretty, but very depressing sort of tune. However, it is just absolutely terrific. I should say Finland 2016, that is a finalist for me, but it is my last place in my final, if you see what I mean. 2017, it is my number 8 of the year. Of course, the contest was in Kyiv that time around. We had the national final. This won the jury vote. It won the public vote. We had an international jury, including the UK, who gave this 12. It says here, the performance saw both members of Norma John in black outfits. Lena performed vocals, Lasse pretended to play the piano, which lit up with red and white colours from the inside. The LED screens transitioned from black and blue stormy imagery to red colours during the final chorus of the song, with the stage floor displaying visuals reminiscent of water. The performance also featured smoke effects. This did not go through. A real shame, and it was a bit of a surprise at the time. I was quite shocked, particularly that the juries didn't like this more, because it did feel to me a little bit like it was a jury bait type of song. Maybe it was simply too slow, maybe it was simply a bit too dull for a lot of people. I don't really know. I think it was the right choice, the right winner of UMK that year. It says here, 12th in the first semi-final, 92 points, 51 from the public, 41 from the juries. Really, really beautiful, in stark contrast to pretty much anything else that year. And if Finland sent something like this again in the near future, I would not be mad. I am going to write that song down here. There we go. I am backwards and forwards. Please bear with me. We move on to 2018. Finland finally made it back to a Eurovision final. Saara Aalto was the representative, somebody who's appeared on the X Factor here in the UK and was second in the first season of The Voice of Finland. So she was the runner-up there, the runner-up on the 13th series of the X Factor UK, and she was the runner-up in UMK once or twice. Finally, she won it. She is 38, a pop musician. She's released a bunch of albums, albeit not for a while, and she's married. And she's also appeared on stage. Yes, indeed. Anyway, there was a national final of 3 songs, Monsters, Domino and Queens, all performed by Saara. There was an international jury vote. The juries favoured Monsters, the public favoured Monsters, so of course that was the song that ended up going to Eurovision. It says here, at the competition in Lisbon, and I always thought this was a bit of a messy performance, and I think that let this song down in all honesty, because Saara wasn't really the problem. It was just the way it was presented for me, and also the song itself. In a year, I think, a year that is pretty full of fairly expressive songs, lots of good entries, this one actually didn't stand out nearly as much as it should have done, in my opinion. It says she was wearing a short black dress and knee-high black boots, joined by 4 dancers, 2 of them performing backing vocals. The performance began with her on a revolving diamond-shaped wheel with 2 sides, one of them turning her upside down. The stage colours were predominantly pink and purple, and the performance also featured pyrotechnic effects. Brian Friedman did the staging, which is interesting, and she had backing performers and 1 off-stage backing vocalist. There was this huge structure, yes, the diamond-shaped wheel, stairs either side of it. The dancers were really going for it. I didn't really like what they were wearing at all. And yeah, I repeat the point that I made just a few moments ago. For me, this came across as somewhat messy, and I think so many other songs were just appealing a great deal more at the time. It says here, Finland did qualify, 10th in the semi-final, 108 points, 73 from the public, 35 from the juries, and then in the final, she finished 25th, second last, scoring 46 points, 23 from the public and 23 from the juries. I don't really have much else to say about this. It's a fine pop song, she's a great vocalist, but ultimately the way it came across wasn't bang on the money in my opinion. 2018 I am going to write here, I think, and I should say Saara Aalto, my number 15 of the 2018 contest. But I do need to re-rank these competitions at some point in the near future. We move on now to 2019, and this was a bit of a low point. It's not that many years ago when Finland were stinking Eurovision out just a little bit. This was an internal selection, and then we had a national final of 3 songs once again, Look Away, Superman and Release Me, and the juries, international juries that is, and the public unanimously agreed that Look Away should be Finland's entry for the Tel Aviv competition that year, performed by Darude and Sebastian Reimann. Darude is Tony Ville Henrik Virtanen, born in 1975. He is 49 years of age. He is an EDM, trance, house musician. He's had quite a bit of success. He's released a bunch of albums, won a bunch of awards, and Sandstorm, which definitely had a sort of second life several years ago. Came out in 1999, reached number 3 in Finland, number 3 in the UK, and also charted at number 83 in the US. He has released many other songs, along with many other musicians, but none of them have really fared terribly well, and I'm not really familiar with much of his other material. Anyway, Sebastian Rehman is from Helsinki. He's 47. He's also appeared on television, so he's a bit of an actor, and he was the singer and guitarist of the band The Giant Leap. Anyway, this song, there's so little to say about it. It's a song to me that feels as though it wants to be really lively, but just isn't getting out of first gear. It's like you're sitting there in your seat and you're feeling the groove, but you just can't quite stand up and really let loose, if you see what I mean. It says here, the Finnish performance featured Darude with a DJ mixing table, which always looks a little bit awkward, on a platform to the left of the stage, and Sebastian performing on the triangular catwalk, joined by a female dancer who I'd forgotten about until reading this just now, performing a choreographed routine on a raised platform in the centre of the stage. The LED screens displayed images showing global warming, and the dancer appearing underwater as she at times disappears from the stage. Her name was Ethel Röhr, and there were offstage backing vocals as well. This was in the first semi-final. Finland finished last in that show. Not really a surprise. There was no interest in this one whatsoever, and the performance was quite forgettable, it must be said. 23 points, 14 from the public, 9 from the juries, and it is my number 14 of the first semi-final that year. So there we go, and I'm going to write 2019 there we go. When you think about it, Finland, we've had lots of different genres from Finland over the years. We really have. We've had the sort of punk rock, the pop disco, the really sad, almost dreary but very beautiful entry from Norma John. We've had straight up pop. Then I haven't mentioned it yet, but we had a bit more rock. Yeah, absolutely. We've had a bit of a mixed bag from Finland over the years. Maybe next year we'll have something country in UMK. That would be very interesting indeed. Moving on to 2020, the cancelled competition. UMK took place on March the 7th. Erika Wickman was there. She won the public vote, but the juries said, no thank you, we would rather have Axel Kankanranta, and he won overall 170 points. It's worth saying that he was second in the public vote, so there we are. The song was called Looking Back. International jury vote. We don't really know how this would have been staged at Eurovision, but perhaps quite similar to how it was at the national final. He was in this dark outfit, didn't really move about at all, and we had sort of eerie images of people walking backwards and forwards behind him. This sort of projection effect thing going on. It was quite nice. It's a really pleasant, simple track. At Eurovision, I don't think it would have qualified whatsoever. I think Finland would have been in the second semi-final. Yes, indeed. In the second half of that show, performing 13th between Albania and Armenia. So I do think, had the competition gone ahead, this might have been lost in the mix. What I can say is that it is my number 24 of the 2020 contest, and Axel would try again to represent his country sooner rather than later. Moving on to 2021, and February the 20th was when UMK took place that year. Axel was back, but he could only finish in 5th place. Oscar with Lie, fantastic, perhaps one of my favourite national final songs full stop over the past couple of years. And this was the first year where it really felt as though Finland were turning a corner. Really, really fantastic. Blind Channel won the jury vote and then won the public vote very convincingly. 479 points from the public, 551 in total. Teflon Brothers and Pandora were second with a far weaker entry. I'm very glad Blind Channel came out on top. Again, there was an international jury vote. It says here, well, it doesn't really say much about the performance at all, but we had lots of strobe effects, and they were all in sort of dark outfits, and there was a bit of pyro, and there was angst and aggression and fierceness, and really they were just owning the stage. It felt like a Blind Channel performance at one of their gigs, not necessarily at Eurovision. It was really strong, vocally not too bad, and absolutely a bit of a fan favourite. Blind Channel, for the record, they're a new metal group from Oulu. They've been making music since 2013. They split up. They split up very recently. On the 26th of April, Joel Hocker announced his departure from the band, citing insomnia issues. And in October of last year, they announced anyway that they would be going on indefinite hiatus. Why did I not know this? Maybe I did and I completely forgot. So there you go. Anyway, they released 5 albums. The last 2 went to number 1 in Finland, and they did release some moderately successful follow-up singles, including Balboa and Bad Idea, after their Eurovision effort. Dark Side is a great tune. It is my number... Let me take a look here. It is my number 7 of the Rotterdam competition. Absolutely fantastic. Really stood out and did quite well in the jury vote too. It says here, in the semi-final, Finland finished 5th, 234 points, 150 from the public, 84 from the juries. In the final, 6th overall, really impressive, 301 points, 218 from the public, 83 from the juries. That's not too bad for this type of song, in all honesty. A lot of people might have found it a bit too aggressive, I can understand that, but still, a top 6 result for this song. That's pretty impressive going. Moving on to 2022, and Finland were represented by the Rasmus with Jezebel. Maybe not the strongest choice, in all honesty, for the Finns that year, but nevertheless, on name alone, the Rasmus were always likely to do it. They've been making music for about 30 years, alternative rock and gothic rock. Lauri Ilönen is the lead singer. This is a group that I was familiar with before they did UMK. They had an album, Dead Letters, back in 2003. I've listened to that album. Falling in 2001. That's a good song. In the Shadows, classic. Went to number 1 in Finland, number 3 in the UK. They've had quite a lot of success, albeit quite some time ago in Finland. Jezebel charted at number 4 in their own country. This is another rock number. In terms of the staging, Lauri was in this big sort of yellow coat. You had the other members of the group around him. You had lots of balls that they were knocking backwards and forwards throughout this performance. And at the start, he was holding a yellow balloon. Lots of flashing lights, but also fairly dark at times as well. Somewhat catchy. This song is co-written by Lauri and Desmond Child, who has written loads of really famous songs, including Livin' La Vida Loca, Living on a Prayer, I Was Made for Loving You by Kiss, Dude Looks Like a Lady by Aerosmith. That's a cracker. So he's definitely had a lot of success over the years, and he was the co-writer of Jezebel. Can you believe it? What else does it say about it here? Well, they won the jury vote, they won the public vote, so it was very comfortable in the end. I was rooting for Cyan Kicks, I have to say. That staging of their song Hurricane, pretty impressive, well worth checking out if you've never seen it. It was an international jury vote. In the semi-final, what does it say here? Does it actually say anything? That's very irritating, so I'm going to have to do this. In Turin, Finland were in the second semi-final and finished 7th with 162 points, 8th with the juries, 6th with the public. In the final, the Rasmus finished 21st, 38 points, tied with the Czech Republic, 22nd in the jury vote, and 16th in the public vote, which is above Armenia, and that was Snap, and we all know how popular that song became after the 2022 competition was over and done with. So there we go. Don't have much else to say about it. I need to be writing these songs down. 2020, that's going to go there, I think. 2021 is going to go there, And 2022, I think, might go there for the time being. Jezebel, which is a song I haven't really listened to a great deal over the years, it must be said, since the contest took place. It is my number 6 of the 2022 contest. Maybe a bit generous, but there we are. Moving on to 2023, bear with me. Of course, what a classic. Cha 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 by Käärijä. Real name, Jere Poihonen. He was born in October 1993, so he's several months younger than me. He's from Helsinki but grew up in Vantaa. He has released 2 albums, the most recent of which was last November. He's released a whole bunch of singles, including Traffic with Joost Klein, which charted at number 5 in his homeland. Ruoska, which charted at number 1 in his homeland. That was with Erika Wickman. It's Crazy, It's Party, which charted at number 4 in Finland in 2023, with Tommy Cash, and of course Eurodab, which he performed as part of the Interval Act in Basel earlier this year, with Baby Lasagna, who represented Croatia in Malmö and finished 2nd. That charted at number 7 in his homeland. He has a habit of teaming up with Eurovision-related individuals. His music is described as pop, rap, synth pop, and rap metal. So there you go. Cha 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 was very immediately arresting, sonically and visually. I remember when the music video premiered, he was in this boxing ring. It absolutely felt as though it was his to lose. He won the jury vote. He won the public vote very convincingly, with over 50% of the vote, 539 points in total, ahead of Portion Boys, international jury vote in UMK again. He was wearing a green bolero jacket. The stage featured a stack of pallets and a huge wooden box prop, which he began his performance from before returning to the floor, with one side of the box later opening up and revealing 4 dancers wearing pink outfits, one of whom I think was pregnant on the day of the final, and of course the semi-final. The performers formed a human centipede on the satellite stage. Okay, yes, indeed. In the middle part of the song, and the performance was concluded with fireworks bursting from each side of the box. The LED screens transitioned from a giant shadow mimicking Käärijä's movements with a snake tongue to rainbow colours at the end of the song. The Etel Rör. I mentioned her earlier. She was one of the dancers. Would you believe it? So she was there in 2019 and again in 2023, along with Jessi Wainans, Katri Mäkinen, and Matti Muliaho. And there was one offstage backing vocalist, Aija Purtinen. He was in the semi-final, of course, and won the semi-final, I believe. Yes, 177 points, of course, pure public votes. In the final, 2nd, 526 points, 376 from the public, and 150 from the juries. Really, the juries were so heavily in favour of Sweden winning that when the public votes were announced, you just sort of knew what was coming. And I was there in Liverpool on the pier head with my friend Peter. There's a vlog from that day, and indeed a video reacting to the results as they came in from Liverpool. And there was a sense of deflation in the Eurovision village when we all sort of realised what was about to happen. It was just too much for Finland to win. Sweden were right there, and we knew that they were going to get at least 200 points from the public. What happened, and it ended up being Malmö the following year. But anyway, Cha 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 is so catchy, it's so crazy, it's fun, it's vibrant, it was energetic, it was so unlike anything else. It's my winner of the 2023 competition. My word, am I rambling. We move on to 2024, and this was a pretty poor follow-up. Finland were represented in Malmö by Windows 95 man with No Rules. For the record, Teemu Keisteri is his actual name. He's 39 from Espoo, and he's released 3 EPs, including one last June. Uncredited live vocals from Henri Pispanen, who was doing most of the heavy lifting here. He is 31, born in May 1994. He's also voiced Finnish dubs of television shows and films, including Big Hero 6 and Paw Patrol. So there you go. This song, I said it at the time and I'll say it now, it was just very cringe-worthy for me. You had Windows 95 man, emerging from this egg and seemingly not wearing anything on his bottom half. It was all very cheeky, very sort of saucy stuff, and it was all sort of nifty camera work, and there was pyro, and it all got a little bit wacky towards the end, and vocally it was a little bit shaky to say the least, but it didn't really matter because the Finnish people clearly loved this at the time of UMK. And I don't really have a great deal else to say about it. It's definitely not one of my favourites at all, and I don't think it has aged terribly well since the 2024 final. It is my number 24 of 2024. What does it say here? He won the public vote, but was last in the jury vote in UMK last year. So, you know, maybe we needed a little bit of voting reform after this result. International juries again. What does it say? Not a great deal. Jesse Winans was on stage, as he was with Karja the year before. It is remarkable how often some of the backing vocalists and dancers appear year after year after year. He emerged from the inside of a giant denim-covered egg. So there you go. It doesn't seem to say the specificities of the results, which is a bit annoying, but Finland were in semi-final 1, and this did stand out, and it was quite humorous, but I think the novelty wore off very quickly, if you ask me. For some reason, this is taking a very long time to scroll down. Here we go. Semi-final 1, 7th place, 59 points. In the final, 15th with the public, 31 points, and 24th, second last with the juries, 7 points. No real surprise. A very disappointing follow-up to Cha Cha Cha, but again, if there is a positive here, it's that it's a different type of sound for this country on the Eurovision stage. This year, we had Erika Wickman with Ich Komme. Beautiful woman in this sort of black latex outfit, looking, I suppose, quite sexy, and totally owning the stage. Every single time she performed this, UMK, rehearsals, semi-final, final, totally in control of what she was doing. She didn't need anybody else on stage with her. Strutting down the catwalk, really working the camera, great fierce energy on display, vocally pretty solid as well. Lots of flashing lights, and then obviously that microphone prop, not borrowed from James Newman, which she sat atop, and then it was elevated in the air, sparks coming out the end. Lyrically, very saucy stuff. But on the whole, this was just really fantastic. This qualified in 3rd place from the second semi-final in Basel earlier this year, 115 points. And then in the final, 11th place. A little bit disappointing, really. Maybe the momentum wasn't as high as first thought, I don't know. 196 points in the end. 88 from the juries and 108 from the public. Again, in UMK, there was an international jury vote, which included San Marino, who did not have Erika in first place. The national final had 6 songs. Erika was second in the jury vote behind Goldilocks, but very comfortably won the public vote, 430 points overall. Doesn't say much else about the performance here, but Erika is fantastic, of course. She was there in UMK in 2020, where she finished behind Axel. She was born on February the 20th, 1993. I was born on February the 6th, 1993. So out of all of the artists who have ever performed at Eurovision, Erika is one of those artists closest to me in age. She's from Tampere, 32 years of age, electro-pop and early tango stuff in her career. She's released 1 album which charted at number 1 in 2021. She is bisexual. It's about time she released another album, and she's released a whole bunch of other singles as well, including that earlier song that I mentioned with Karja. We've also got Tal on niin kuuma and Sintisten Poita. You'll have to forgive my pronunciation here. But yes, Ich Komme, fantastic. And she's a real sort of... She's just a great performer, sort of showman type figure, you know, strutting out on stage. You know that you're going to get a really fantastic performance from her, really commanding every single thing that she's doing when she is performing her tracks. Fabulous. And I'm interested to see what stuff she releases in the near future. 2024, for the record, it's my runner-up of this year's competition. I am going to... Actually, 2025, my runner-up of this year's competition. Last year's effort, I'm going to put... maybe here. And then 2025 I'm going to put here. There we go. Very messy video. I do apologise. If you've stuck with me, I can only say thank you. My rough ranking of Finland's entries over the past decade, bottom to top, is as follows. 2015 is last. 2019, 2024, 2020, 2016, 2018, 2017, 2022, 2021, 2025, 2023. Karja tops my ranking of Finland's entries over the past 10 years, and that's probably the case for a lot of other people as well. Whew, my voice is starting to ache. I am going to leave it there. Very messy stuff, but let me know your thoughts on Finland's entries from 2015 in Vienna to 2025 in Basel, and I'll be back with another Eurovision-related video fairly soon. In fact, feel free to let me know whether you think it will be Vienna or Innsbruck 2026. Until next time, take care of yourselves, stay safe, and bye for now.